This is Danny Flexon here for Seconds Out. Delighted to be joined by my good friend Sam Jones. Sam, you got a fresh trim. What else is new?
Always have a fresh trim, Danny. Always have a fresh trim. Not a lot, mate. And what's been happening? We've got a show on the 15th of October at the Olympia. So you heard it here first. It's going to be it is going to be the 15th, and it's going to be at the Olympia as well. So we expect that to sell out. Peter McGrail in a great fight. It's going to be announced, I think, tomorrow. Bakadir Jalalov in a good fight. Introduce him to the UK fans. Jazza Dickens in a great fight. So yeah, exciting stuff. That'll all be announced. That'll all be announced tomorrow.
And on the pro bellum side of things, Troy Williamson's inked a deal now to fight Josh Kelly, I believe, in a huge fight for the North East.
Yeah, and there's a few more surprises to be added to that. So keep your eyes peeled on that. But yeah, amazing fight for Troy. I cannot wait for that. Troy will fight anyone, Danny. Troy will fight anyone. Very similar to like Joyce in the sense of like, if you ask him this fight, yeah, no problem. So Troy really fancies that fight, and I'm sure Josh Kelly and Adam Booth do as well. It's going to be a brilliant fight, especially up in the Northeast. It's going to be buzzing. It really will.
Were you at all surprised that Adam and Josh took it? Because it seemed like there was this narrative that he might not.
No.
He always insisted he would.
No. Knowing Adam and Josh, they will be fully confident that in winning that fight. Listen, if Josh is turning down a British title fight, yeah, coming off, it was a bit of a disastrous loss against Avanesian. If he's just turning down a fight against Troy Williamson for the British title in an all Northeast clash, then what are you doing? What are you doing? Where are you going? What are you doing? So no, I had no doubt they were going to take that fight.
Troy is massive at the weight though, isn't he? And for Josh coming off that punishing defeat to Avanesian down at welter, there must be a bit of apprehension. Maybe not apprehension is not the right word, but they must see Troy as a threat.
Listen, Troy is a threat because Troy's come through adversity in fights as well. He's been put over. He's been shook in fights, but he gets through it because Troy is one of the fittest fighters in British boxing. He really is. He's got a tremendous engine. And it's that's what I've said to Troy, to his face. I said, Troy, he's got 4 rounds to get you out of there. If he don't get you out of there, I believe he's fucked.
Do you think Kelly's a puncher at 154?
I don't think he's a puncher, but I think, listen, Josh Kelly is supremely gifted. Yeah, he's a supremely gifted, naturally gifted fighter. I don't think he's got one punch dig on him, but I think he hits hard enough. Do you know what I mean? I think he hits hard enough. I think Troy's a bigger puncher. I think Troy's physically stronger. Josh Kelly's more naturally talented than Troy. That's just obvious. But I think it's going to come down to who's got the biggest balls, Danny. And I think Troy's a dog, isn't he? He's a dog, and I think he's a dog that won't be denied.
Yeah, it's just a mouth-watering fight. I genuinely can't wait for it.
Wait till you see the other fight added to that show.
Ooh, tantalising there. All right, I'll look forward to that. Now, this weekend, we've got another superb fight, this one on the world stage between your old friend, Joyce, and Joseph Parker. Just, no one was talking about it before they started negotiating, but it just seems like too good to be true almost. 2 of the top 10 heavyweights in the world, number 1 and number 2 of the WBO, and it's actually happening on Saturday.
I mean, I can't speak on behalf of Joe Parker, but I don't think Joe Parker would have looked at Joe and think, oh, I really want that fight. I think he's more looked at that fight and thought, there's something to gain from it now. Do you understand what I mean? There's a carrot there. WBO interim title, you get a great split against the champion. It's a great fight. Joyce, I'm not just saying this to you, Danny, but genuinely, he would fight anybody. If Adam, or me at the time, but Adam now, if Adam said to Joe, you're fighting whoever, he would say, no problem. What's the date? Let's go. He genuinely doesn't care who's in the opposite corner. He will fight anybody. Obviously, Adam will now make sure the fight makes financial sense for Joe, but Joe has full trust in Adam, as he did when I was there. It had trust in us both to deliver the correct fights at the right time, which I believe me and Adam did. And now, listen, look, I look at the fight and think, fucking hell, it's a hard fight for Joyce. It's a hard fight. Parker's got fast hands. He's a top level heavyweight. He's got a tremendous trainer in Andy Lee. It's a fucking hard fight for Joyce. I expect the fight to go in Parker's way in the early rounds. But I do think people will be surprised with Joe, because when he respects the opponent, no disrespect to the people who I'm probably referring to, but he probably didn't really respect a Takam or a Christian Hammer, their power. He just didn't. It's like when he did
Jennings as well, perhaps.
Jennings, yeah. He probably disregarded their power a little bit. But when you look at the fight against Daniel Dubois, Joe respected Daniel's power because he sparred him numerous times, so he knew how hard Daniel hit. So Joe will respect Parker. So Joe will be. I'm not saying Joe took it easy in the last camp, but I know Joe inside out. I know Joe didn't. His head wasn't in that last fight. Joe would have been in that camp. He would have been told he's fighting Parker, laser focused. Then Parker's not happening. I'm fighting Christian Hammer. Joe would have been eating packets of biscuits and dish. Yeah, he would have trained. Joe is a consummate pressure. He would have trained, but his head wouldn't have been in it. Do you understand? With Parker, I know Joe's head will be in it. His head will be in the game, and Joe will be mean. He'll be calculated. Yep, Parker will probably get some shots off in the early rounds, but I expect Joe to come on very, very strong in the fight, as he always does. And I believe he'll win on points, because I think Parker's very fucking tough. I think he'll win on points, but I would not be surprised if Joe stopped him. Joyce stopped Parker late on. But I will say this, and I mean this wholeheartedly: you will not meet two nicer men in boxing than Joseph Parker and Joe Joyce. They are two of the most genuine men that you will ever meet, and may the best man win. It's very, very hard for me to watch Joe. I think I'm going to go and watch him, but I stayed out of the way the last one, because it's very difficult for me to watch him, because I watch Joe's fights like this through my hands. I love Joe to bits, so I think I am gonna go, and I'll be cheering him on. It's very weird for me not to be around the setup, but I'll go and wish Joe or the Joyce all the best. But again, like I say, two great guys, and may the best man win.
And the winner of that will be right in line to challenge Alexander Usyk, presuming he doesn't give up the WBO belt. How difficult a challenge would that be for Joe if he comes through against Parker? It just seems stylistically that would be a very difficult fight for him.
Danny, would we all be lying if we said I would prefer Fury for Joe, because he's a bigger target. Do you know what I mean, for Joyce? But Usyk is a hard night for anyone, Danny. He's a nightmare, and let's be honest, he's a southpaw. He's unorthodox. He's so hard to pin down. He's so intelligent. His IQ. He's a genius, Usyk. But what I will say is, Joe Joyce will provide Usyk with his hardest fight to date. He will do a lot better than what Anthony Joshua did, and I guarantee this. You can save this video. I guarantee Joe Joyce will run Usyk a hell of a lot closer than Anthony Joshua did, because Joe will not stop. Joe will know that I can't outbox this guy. It's going to have to be, let's balls to the floor, let's fucking go. Do you know what I mean, against Usyk? So that's my take on that. But Usyk he's another planet skill level to many.
Just so you know, we save all the videos. It's just something that happens automatically. But yeah, we'll clip it out for you, and you can
emphasize that clip, Daniel.
I will, Samuel, as we're on big name terms now.
My name's not actually Samuel, by the way.
And mine's not Daniel. So there you go.
Is it not? Is it not birth certificate Daniel, no?
Birth certificate Danny.
Oh, wow. Okay, yeah, my birth certificate's Sam. My mum wasn't very adventurous.
I'm not going to say anything about your mum's sense of adventure. Let's move on. Anthony Joshua, Tyson Fury. Is it going to happen in December?
Danny, my mind keeps changing about it. I don't think it does happen now. I think we're too close to the date. I think that, and my mind's changed as well. Like, I mean, because when we were first when I think you interviewed me, the kid in me was like, yes, Fury AJ, it's happening. Yes, it's going to happen. I want it to happen. But when you think about it deep, it's not the right move for Anthony Joshua next. It's not the right move for him next. I mean, Gareth A. Davis, he said it, and at the beginning, I'm like, what are you talking about? But when you do analyze it, you think that Joshua could do with a couple more fights. He could do with a couple more fights. This is my mind changing, by the way, because at the beginning, I'm very like, he's got to do it. It's a shot at the world heavyweight title. But when you think of Anthony Joshua's mental space, I think he needs a couple of W's before he can get in there. I think he needs more time with whoever's going to coach him. But listen, if the fight gets made, Danny, I will be scraping the barrel to be getting as close to the ring as possible, because as a fan, I want to see the fight. But do I think it's going to happen? No, I do not. I don't think it's going to happen.
When we've been this close to it happening, or seemingly as it's been reported, and then Tyson Fury ends up fighting on that December 3rd date against someone else, and anyone else he fights is going to be lesser as an attraction than Joshua.
Well, if it's Manuel Charr, we can all go home, can't we?
But I mean, that's going to be a bomb, surely. That's going to be absolute flop.
Genuinely, I would watch it, but I wouldn't like cancel any plans to watch Tyson Fury fight Manuel Charr, because it's just a massacre, isn't it?
But if they just come out and said, Fury, big fight, you know, Manuel Charr, it's just a keep busy fight, Usyk in the spring, I don't think it had been so bad. But because everyone's now hoping for Joshua, it's a big anti-climax.
This is what I mean. It's like promising someone a flipping Wagyu steak and then giving them a chewy rump steak. It's not what people want. It's the thing is, this is what I mean. Tyson has a habit of saying one thing, then the next thing happens, but you never know, because sometimes it's like, do you remember in the second Wilder fight, he says, I'm going to go through, I'm going to snap him in half, I'm going to go straight through him, and everyone's like, no, you're not, you're going to box on the back foot. He went in there and went straight through him and snapped him. So Tyson is like one of them, a genius. He's like a genius, but like he's also got people on strings. Oh, like let's do this. Or I'm gonna fight Manuel Charr. I'm gonna fight Derek Chisora. You don't really know what Tyson's gonna think next. You don't know what he's gonna say next. But who knows? All I know is I do not want to fucking see Tyson Fury fight Manuel Charr. That's no disrespect to Manuel Charr, because I actually like the fella, but please fucking no.
We shall see. I agree. Please no. I second it.
Please no.
We've got Benn Eubank, which we've talked about many times, or Eubank Benn rather.
If I talk about this fight anymore, I want 4 ringside seats from Matchroom, yeah, and I want shares in the fight, because I keep getting stick. Do Danny? People keep saying, "You keep talking about this fight." Yes, because I'm getting asked, and I can't wait for the fight. And I'll sit.
If you get 4 ringside seats, who are you bringing?
I don't know. If I keep eating, I'll probably need 2 seats on my own
yourself,
anyway. Yeah. I don't actually know, you know.
Oh, you better get thinking, just in case they're watching and decide to grant your wish.
Yeah.
But yeah, we're not far away from it now. Eubank Sr. talked about pulling him out. Clearly that hasn't happened. And as you said, the fight would still go ahead. As it's got closer, has your opinion of the outcome and how it's likely to pan out changed at all?
I did my podcast yesterday. I mean, I've just started a podcast with Josh Windass and Dave Colwell. And I said, I fancy Conor Benn on points. But again, I might wake up tomorrow and think something completely different. But my logic is this, yeah. Eubank, even though for all the bravado and all the eating shit and chicken pieces and stuff, he's training very hard for this fight. But you can train hard for this fight, but he's moving down to what I believe is an unnatural weight for him. Yeah, he's gonna have to take water out of his body. He can't. There's a rehydration clause, which, by the way, rehydration clauses are a fucking joke, and they need banning from boxing. It is a joke. Rehydration clause. If you make the weight, you've made the weight. You should not have to go the next day and deplete yourself even further to keep yourself at a level. You should be able to go in the fight whatever fucking weight you feel comfortable. But if you want to eat 10 bowls of pasta, you have the right to eat 10 bowls of pasta, because you've professionally made the weight. So I think they should fucking scrap rehydration clauses, because they're shit and they're not good for health purposes, and they're just not good for anyone. But anyway, Eubank Jr. has agreed to that rehydration clause, and I think it could cost him. I think it could cost him, because I think the final years of Conor Benn is training like a demon. I'm actually so impressed with watching him, how he is. And like, I really like Tony Sims as a coach. I think their relationship's brilliant that they have together. I think it's one of the best in British boxing at the moment. Their two connection they have together. Eubank Jr. is like, is he really going to listen to Ronnie Davis? As great as Ronnie Davis is he going to listen to his old man, who his old man said he just shouldn't really be fighting this fight? Is he going to fight the Roy Jones Jr. way? I just think that Eubank Jr. genuinely does believe he's going to go in there and take Conor Benn out. I think that could happen. I think it could happen. I think Eubank could win early. But I think if Conor Benn can get through those few rounds, I think he's going to be fitter than Eubank down the stretch. I think he's going to be healthier than Eubank down the stretch. And I think he could win on points. But I think Eubank is so tough that I think Conor Benn could put him down. Who knows? Because Conor Benn can hit. He's got his old man's right hand. So, but Eubank's got his dad's chin. Do you understand what I mean? So that's what makes the fight so fascinating. So right now, I'm saying Conor Benn on points. Tomorrow, I might wake up and change my mind. But like I said before, I genuinely, hand on heart, I like Eubank Jr. I think he's hilarious. The press conference, he was pay-per-view on its own. The face-off, I think he was articulate, very clever, and he's very funny. He's dry humour, very funny. But I just think for British boxing, it will be amazing for Conor Benn to win, because you have then given birth to a superstar.
Good stuff. Sam, always appreciate your time. Let's catch up again next week if you're free.
Nice one, Danny.
Cheers, mate. Take care.